What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek. I realized I haven't turned on a specific light. Let me do that really quick. And welcome as we are getting ready to unbox this guy right here. This is the Stream Deck Studio, and the reason why is because I have volume up. There we go. Let's turn that down. The reason why is because I'm putting together a Stream Deck Studio, buttons and buttons upon buttons, and I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with this just yet, but it's also coinciding with the program BitFocus Buttons, which is another piece of software that you would use for your Stream Deck. Now, of course, I've used BitFocus Companion for many, many years. I love it. In fact, my Stream Decks, which are on the side here, let me do this. Just go over here a little bit and go down and kind of see them. Let's get some of the mess out of the way, and we'll zoom in. There we go. There we go. So as you can see right here, there is my Stream Decks. Actually have two Stream Decks on this desktop. The first one controls my vMix right there, and the second one controls all the cameras. Like for instance, right now I'm on this PTZ camera, this one right here. So I'm doing that. I'm moving that back and forth. You get the idea. I'm trying not to show you the mess behind. Don't look at the mess behind there. Anyway, so that's what I do with Stream Decks, and of course they've come out with many different types of Stream Decks, from 6-button Stream Decks to 15 to 32 to 30. Was it 19 with dials, and now the big one, which is like with 32 or 40 buttons, 6 dials, and it's crazy. But what we're going to focus on today is this guy right here. Not this guy right here, but this guy right here, the Stream Deck Studio. Let me get it back into frame here because I forgot to save that scene. Smart, right? There we go. Let's get it right there. Let's get it right there. And I'm going to save that as 2, like that. All right, there we go. And that's the wrong one I saved. My brain is just not working today. There we go. All right. So that's the Stream Deck Studio. So what this is simply put a rack mount version of the Stream Deck. Now you can rack mount it. You don't have to. You can put it underneath your desk. You can cut a hole in your desk and have the buttons pop up if you want. You can cut a hole in your ceiling and have the buttons pop down if you want. However it works in your studio. And a lot of people, they run multi-button studios because they're doing a lot of technical direction. They're doing a lot of a lot of different things. Hooking it up to something like a vMix, hooking it up to something. Oh gosh, there's so much, from audio mixers to video mixers to a lot more, and a lot of support, even with high-end professional systems. Walked into the Ross booth at NAB, and there was a Stream Deck sitting right in between the consoles. So, and the best part about Stream Deck is it can be so remote. If you want it to, you could have this button system in your studio. You could have somebody upstairs watching your video and saying needs to switch cameras here. You could be in a completely different room, in a completely different city, in a completely different whatever, and be running something like the Stream Deck Studio for anything from house of worship to live concerts to big conferences to large end productions. And it can be front facing, it can be rear facing. Front facing being like a live stream like I'm doing. Like this is live switching right now between the buttons. You get the idea. And then of course there's background, where you could be just, you have the program that goes out to the world, and then you have somebody that's doing preview that goes to like a green room or anything like that, so people can see what's going on and people can react to what's going on. And once again, the person doesn't need to be in the city as long as there's a VPN connection. into the system so the Stream Deck Studio can connect up. And there's many different ways that you can do that. And that's what's really exciting about this whole thing. So this is the Stream Deck Studio, 32 buttons, 2 dials, and a lot of other features, including the ability to network this in with PoE, power over Ethernet. And that way you don't have to hook it up directly to a computer. You just have to hook it up to a power source. And there's many different ways that you can hook it up to the power source without it being on a network. So you could have a regular switch, and you can run power over it. I won't get too much into that. That's a little bit too much. But the whole point is, what we're going to do today is we are going to unbox and we're going to take a look at the Stream Deck Studio, and of course, get some thoughts and some final thoughts. Set up a few buttons. I don't know if I'll get to the point of connecting up bit focus buttons, but keep in mind, bit focus buttons is all a part of this. In fact, let me show you how that is. Thought I had that out there. Let's go like this. Focus. It's over at bitfocus.io. There we are. And of course, we got buttons. Let's do that. Boom, like that. So this is bitfocus buttons. It is a page. And of course, we're seeing some control photos with that. It works a little bit different than Companion. If you ever used bitfocus Companion, which is absolutely free, you can definitely use the Studio with bitfocus Companion. You can definitely use a Stream Deck with bitfocus buttons. It crosses back and forth. It's awesome. But anyway, this is designed for the operator. As you can see, they have like a little, somebody's got 2 bitfocus buttons on here with a regular Stream Deck right there. Let's see if we can make that bigger. Yeah, so you see that. So you can have it in multiple situations. The 32 button is USB-C and can be connected up into the computer. I think it can be connected up into the buttons, and that's what we're going to find out as we go. But you'll be able to really max out your buttons, max out your configuration with things like Stream Deck and the Stream Deck Studio. So, but enough about that. Let's get into the particulars here. And let me just do this really quick. We'll do that and back there. If you got any questions in the chat, feel free to ask them, and I will try my best to answer them. If you want to, use the super chat. And of course, we got a poll running. Do you have a Stream Deck right now? Let me know in the poll right there. And of course, if you want to throw a few dollars my way, that would be great. But there is something else, and that is the codes. And I didn't put a graphic up for the codes. Sorry about that. But if you go over to the page, where's the page? There we go. There we go. If you look in the description over at youtube.com/Geekazine, you'll say you can get the Stream Deck Studio. And did I not put the link in there? Does not look like I put the link in there. Let me do that. You can refresh that page. There we go. And I need that. And then I need, where is it? There we are. There we are. And I'm just going to save that really quick. There we are. So if you refresh the page, there's going to be a link in there that, of course, supports the channel. But if you get bit focus buttons, there's 2 codes that you need to know. First one is called Geekazine Lite. Geekazine Lite, Lite. And that gives you 1 month Lite subscription. If you want to go and get the pro version of bitfocus buttons, 3-month version, you'll get 30% off with the code Geekazine Pro. I got those down in the description. You can definitely do that. And with that said, bitfocus sent me the Stream Deck Studio, and they're sponsoring through affiliates, but I'm not getting paid to do this video. All opinions are my own, as always. I got a full section over at geekazine.com/review to find out how I look at products and how and give you my thoughts on this. I have not opened up this device yet, so I don't know what it's saying there. I've seen Stream Deck Studios before, but I got a pretty good idea of what's in there. But this is a first look by every means. So if you want to support the channel, once again, super chat right there if you start chatting. Of course, if you go to patreon.com/geekazine, and as little as $1 a month, that helps me keep the lights on. I appreciate that very much. Or you can send me a one-time tip over at venmo.com/geekazine, venmo.com/geekazine. All right. With that said, with that done, let's go ahead and take a look at the Stream Deck Studio 32 button system control device. So we'll bring that. I think we got the overhead here. Let's go ahead. Oh, got to take off the little piece there. Pop it open. Of course, this works on your Mac. This works on your PC. And probably a few more. Maybe the companion. I don't know. I think there's a Linux version of buttons. To double check. So first thing we see right there. Greatness starts now. Okay. There we go. Greatness starts now. Sorry, I had a small little technical thing there. So just basically a piece of cardboard. We've got the Stream Deck Studio manual. We'll put that right there. A little get connected. I'm thinking this is silica gel right there. And then, of course, the unit. I think this is another. Is this an? I know what that is. I know what this is. This is the side ears for the Stream Deck Studio. We've got another set of instructions right here, and I think that's it. Yep, that looks to be it. Now you notice that there is no power to it. There's a couple different ways you can power it, but you'll have to procure your own cables for that. And I bet you if you go to Elgato, they'll probably have accessories for you. Let me move this microphone a little bit. There we go. All right. I love the idea that they have like this little sticker right here, but we're going to peel it off. We're going to slightly roll it. There we go. And what's the most interesting thing is how small this guy really is. I mean, take a look at it. I remember when I got my first ATEM, he was the television studio, and it was this thin as well. But it's pretty thin. As you can see, we got the control software or hardware back here that allows us to control it. And then, of course, the front, which we have 32 buttons in two 16 increments. There is a little spacer in between there. And then we have a dial right here. We have, I believe that's the NFC reader right there. We've got a 5-volt 500 milliamp USB-C right here, and then of course another dial. Let's zoom in on this and see what we can see a little bit more. Ah, got too many buttons. Okay, there we go. I got too many buttons. I can't believe I just said that. That's crazy. All right, there we go. Let's lock that focus. There we are. So there's the unit. Once again, I'm going to show you from here. Once again, I think that's the NFC. And of course, we got dial. We've got 16 buttons right here. We've got 16 buttons right here. We've got USB-C right here. That is 5-volt, 500 milliamp. So it could charge your phone, but it's going to be really slow. And then these are jog dials. So they're just going to go infinitely. If you turn, everything turn, you get the idea. So let's move over to the back and take a look at this. We got the first side. There's nothing on the sides, by the way, because this is where the ears are going to come, or the leaves, or whatever you call them, to actually rack mount them. Nothing right here, but over here we have, let's see if I can turn that this way. We got two things. We got a USB-C right here, and then of course we got the Ethernet, which is power over Ethernet. And it tells you there right here too. So it says power over Ethernet, network power 802. I can't read. 802.3AT class 4. And then down here says USB-C data connection. So you can connect it up to your computer. So two ways that you can power that right now is through your Ethernet or through the computer. On the other side, we have a USB-C power delivery USB-C that is connecting to a power supply, 9 volts, 2.4 amp connection right there. No other USBs, nothing on the top, nothing on the bottom right there. We do have a reset button right here that presses pretty easily. And then, of course, nothing here because, once again, we got the rack ears that come onto this whole unit. And that is the unit in general. Let's take a look at the rack ears really quick. Nice little Elgato branding on the paper here. That's pretty cool. So these are standard ears. So we place the ears like this, and then of course you'll be able to put them into a case. You'll be able to put them into a rack or wherever you're deciding to put it. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with these buttons just yet. I might be using them for something I do on the side, so they probably won't be in this studio, but we'll see what happens. And then, yeah, I think this is just silica gel. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can open it, and it feels, maybe this is screws actually. No, this could be screws. And I am correct. Inside there's the screws to the rack ears. So don't lose that. I'm going to fold that back up because I'm not going to put them on today. All right. So we now have our unit unboxed. Let's go ahead and plug this in and see if we can get some sort of connection with it. And we might, do I want to do that by disconnecting one of my Stream Decks, or do I want to run another cable? I don't know if I have a cable close by to do that. I mean, I do, but they might not be long enough. Let's try this one. And of course, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask it in the chat. Appreciate it much. I have to get an extension on this. So we're gonna hook it up directly to the computer first. So cord to computer. There we go. And hopefully I don't knock everything out by plugging this in. I did plug that in the right one, right? Connect to computer. Maybe I still need to have the power delivery. So I was planning to do power over Ethernet. Let me go ahead and grab the cable and do that. All right. There we go. You saw the buttons light up there. There. And if I just look at my Stream Deck, yeah, if I go to my Stream Deck, you will see, boom. You won't see all the, there we go. There's all the buttons right there. And of course, the dials. We can choose what we want for the dials. We'll choose what we want for the buttons. Let's just do something simple. Do a timer. Put that right there. And we'll go 30-second with a connect sound. So there we go. We've got that done. And of course, right here, you see the 30-second timer. So I'm going to go ahead and press that. And of course, it's counting down 30 seconds. There we go. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. You might have heard that, a 30-second timer. And that is simple. It's pretty straightforward. If you have multiple Stream Decks, basically what you want to do is you go over to the Stream Deck and then you can just choose which Stream Deck you have, including the virtual Stream Decks, if you want to add that to your desktop. That's the old version. That was in 7 that it started that option, but I have my Stream Deck XL right there. I have, I believe this, yeah, this is the regular Stream Deck with the vMix switch buttons. And now I have my virtual Stream Decks, which have 80 buttons right there. And then, of course, we've got the Studio, which now has one working button of a 30-second timer. And that's pretty cool. So, and then, of course, if you've never used the Stream Deck, of course, it's got all these extra options. Like, for instance, I can do folders upon folders upon folders. So a 15-button Stream Deck could really be hundreds of buttons that you would switch. And same thing goes with this. It can be hundreds of options. You can have the first couple being something like, I don't know, folder 1, folder 2, folder 1 if you're doing video production. Maybe you have your preview line, and on line 2 you have your production line, or you just switch over to other cameras, things like that. Just multitudes of things that you can do. Maybe a button that's going to send you to your graphics, so you can pull up your timer graphics or whatever. Let's take a look at this right here, the dial, which we get less stuff to do, but I can. Let's see. Let's do multimedia right here, and we're just going to do the volume. Simple as that. So now when I switch over to here and I do this, the volume on my computer starts to go up and down. And then if I had other types of volumes, like for instance, a vMix volume, I could actually control that through there. I can also make that into a vMix shortcut of some sort. And I'm guessing I can then control the volume on this guy right here. Now we do have this connected up to the network. And once again, I'm not gonna do buttons just yet, but I do have the bit focus buttons. When I do the bit focus buttons, my companion buttons closes. So I need to do a little configuration, bringing buttons in here. So let's bring up bit focus buttons here. And that's starting right there. You can see that. And then we can launch the editor. It says that it's not secure. That's okay. And now just switch it over to my other one. No, I want you to do that. There we go. All right. So now it's asking me to sign into my account, which I am going to do right now. There we are. And there is the bit focus button. So once again, I haven't done too much with it, and but we can definitely get that going. First of all, we want to register our services or our surfaces, excuse me, so we can add a connection, and we have all our different connection types here. We have a vmix in here. There's Zoom, there's Yamaha, Workflow, WLED, VizRT. I don't see a vmix or visual, Vislink, Vimeo, Viscero. That's a good one. I've used that many a times in the early days. Let's see vmix. Interesting. But as you can see, got all these connection types that we can bring in. We can download modules. So let's see if there's a module for vmix. I do not see that. But some of the things, it's routers, hardware, audio players. We've got some of these things I don't know. There's an Elgato stuff, of course. So if you have the key light or the teleprompter or anything like that, you can plug that in and use that. And then of course you can create patterns. So I'm not going to put any modules in this just yet, but those are the modules. We got the position, which of course we can set up from here. We'll set up a regular position, create a new position, and we'll label it 1. And now we can assign our surfaces, which I believe there's the MK2, and then there's this one. I think that's the XL. And then it hasn't registered the other one just yet. I think I need to find the IP address. So let me do that. Got to connect into my router here. And review. Oh, no. Let's see. There we go. And I'm not seeing. I'll show you this. I'm not seeing the MAC address. Maybe it'll show me a MAC address here. I don't see it. I know I'm connected up. Let's see. Okay. Well, it's not seeing the buttons just yet. I got to figure out how to do that. Yeah, and it's discovering the Stream Deck MK2, which I don't want to adopt just yet. Um, Interesting. And then I just lost my XL doing this. So as you can see, I'm still new at this whole thing. There we go. I'm still new at setting this all up. So, but what I'm seeing here is that we've got it doesn't see the surface just yet, and I'm not exactly sure why. It is power over Ethernet. They also use USB connected, so it should see it one way or another. And so that's where I am, and I haven't, in all reality, haven't really started with the buttons because I know this is going to be a small learning curve. But what I wanted to do was I definitely wanted to get this out here and show you this, show you the size of this, and show you how easy it is to actually put buttons if you're not even using it for with bit focus buttons. If you just want to use companion or the Stream Deck option from Elgato, you have that. You can just set yourself 30-second timers and then be done when you're done with that. Excuse me. All right. And with that, I think we're good. That's basically what I wanted to show you was the Stream Deck, the Elgato Stream Deck Studio, which has the button support and the dial support. And of course, we just went through our alarm once again. Keep in mind that the button system's pretty close to what Stream Deck is. So there is a screen behind here, and then that's what displays these graphics. And then, of course, these are capacitive touch buttons. I think that's what that's called. So basically, you push in and they hit tines on the side, and that basically tells it what it's doing. It's not pushing on the screen. It is not a touch screen behind it. Excuse me. It is not a touch screen behind it. It is the buttons are what makes it click, so to speak. Not really click, but you get the idea. So anyway, that's the bit focus buttons. Looks pretty good. We're going to get to the next part, and that is putting this in through bit focus buttons, and of course start figuring out how to configure buttons so I can use it for the show. But in the meantime, that's what I wanted to show you today. That was the the Elgato Stream Deck Studio. Using bit focus, but also using buttons and, of course, the Stream Deck software. If you got any questions, feel free to contact me over at Geekazine, youtube.com/Geekazine. And, of course, you can also like, subscribe, comment, and bell notifications so you know when the next video comes out. Remember, we have the two codes, Geekazine Lite and Geekazine Pro. Geekazine Pro gives you 30% off for 3 months of the Pro version. And of course, the Lite, it'll give you 1 month of the Lite with Geekazine Lite, so you can give it a try. And that's Geekazine LITE for that. And of course, I've also started a Facebook page, the unofficial BitFocus Buttons Facebook page. You can check that out. I'll have that link down in the show notes as well after the stream. So check that out, and we'll go from there. So I thank you guys very much for hanging out with me and taking a look at this. Until next time, you guys geek out and take care.